Hey Reddit, before we get into the story, I've noticed the channel's been slowing down a bit. If you enjoy these posts, the best way to support us is to hit that subscribe button. It's free, fast, and really helps keep this community thriving. Alright, on to the story. I was told it'd be a low-key family dinner. So imagine my shock when I walked into a full-blown party. Close to 90 people, a DJ spinning tracks, and a huge banner that read, "Surprise baby shower." Immediately confused, I pulled out my phone and checked my bank account. Over $10,000 was gone. My mom saw the look on my face and smiled smugly. "We used your bonus. It's for the family," she said. "Don't be selfish." I didn't argue. That night, I shut down every financial account I had access to. I reversed the charges, reported the fraud, and by sunrise, every card they relied on had been declined. And sure enough, my brother came banging on my front door. Here's how we got there. 3 weeks ago, my mom casually texted me an invite to a family dinner. Nothing fancy, just some food and relatives. I'd been buried in work and had just received my year-end bonus. So I figured a quiet evening with family wouldn't hurt. My brother and his wife are expecting their first child, but they'd specifically said they weren't doing a baby shower. Too stressful and costly. So I didn't think twice. Saturday came, and I drove to the community center where the dinner was being held. That should have raised some alarms. A community center for dinner? Sounded excessive. But maybe one of my cousins needed the space. Or maybe it was just a big potluck. I brushed it off. The moment I stepped inside, I knew something was off. Blue and silver balloons. A full DJ setup. Close to 90 people. Some I knew, most I didn't. Tables of food, and a giant banner announcing the celebration for my brother and his wife. I felt completely out of place. Dressed casually, standing in a room full of well-dressed guests, acting like it was the event of the season. Trying to keep it together, I drifted through the crowd and spotted my mom. She looked far too proud of herself. My brother and his wife were basking in the attention, opening gifts, taking pictures, thanking everyone. I was stunned. How did this happen without me knowing? I pulled out my phone, opened my banking app, and my stomach dropped. My account was missing over $10,000. No large purchases, no transfers, just a string of charges to party services. Catering, event planning, DJ venue, all under my name. I kept quiet. I smiled politely, thanked people, and left early. Once I got home, I went into crisis mode. I froze every account, flagged all suspicious activity, and began the process of reversing every unauthorized transaction. I even shut down an old family-linked backup card my mom used to access. By the next morning, the entire event had unraveled. Payments were declined. Services were unpaid. And that card? It was shut down. At 7:42 a.m., I heard loud banging at my door. It was my brother. Furious, I watched him through the peephole as he stormed back and forth, fists tight, yelling my name. Eventually, I cracked the door. He tried to force his way in, but I blocked him. He didn't waste time. He launched into a rant. The caterer was demanding payment. The DJ's charge had bounced. The venue deposit was now under investigation, and none of their cards were working. Mom was sobbing. His wife was panicking. I asked, "And what does any of that have to do with me?" That's when he snapped. He said I'd embarrassed the family. That mom did this out of love. That I had the money and should have just gone along with it. It was just a baby shower. And there it was. Confirmation. He didn't deny the money was mine. Didn't even pretend to be surprised. He just assumed I'd accept it. I let him rant. He went on and on about how hard the pregnancy's been, how tight money is, and how I didn't really need the bonus. After all, I don't have kids. No spouse. No big responsibilities. So naturally, that made me the family ATM. I asked him flat out if anyone ever intended to clue me in, or if the plan all along was to quietly treat my bank account like a family fund. He didn't have much of an answer, just more excuses. He claimed Mom thought surprising me would make me less resistant. That was my breaking point. I told him to get out. As I closed the door, he threw one last shot. "You're being selfish." By noon, my phone was blowing up. Mom, aunts, cousins, even my dad, who usually avoids family drama, was calling from 2 states away. The message was the same across the board. I was overreacting. It was just a party. Family comes first. One cousin even had the audacity to say I should feel grateful to be included. I ignored them all. Let the voicemails pile up. Later that night, I got one final message from my mom. She accused me of humiliating her, ruining a special moment, and making things hard for my brother's wife, who now had to explain why everything unraveled in front of 90 guests. I stared at the screen for a few seconds, then replied with 2 words. "Not sorry." I silenced my phone, turned on Do Not Disturb, and went to bed. The next morning, I called HR and requested that my bonus be reissued as a physical check. I no longer trusted any account that had ever touched my family's fingertips. But I wasn't finished. By Monday, the family group chat was in full meltdown mode. I didn't open most of the messages, but the previews told me everything I needed to know. My mom was spinning a new story, that I was acting out because I felt neglected as a child. My aunt chimed in that I owed my brother, though no one could explain what exactly I owed him for. Then one of my cousins suggested I should at least unfreeze the accounts. That's when I realized this wasn't a one-time thing. They hadn't just taken my bonus. They had been dipping into any account they could find. Lingering links from the past, shared access I forgot to revoke, old logins I hadn't thought about in years. I didn't reply. Instead, I sat down with my coffee and went into full financial lockdown. I called the bank, combed through every connected account, every authorized user, every old auto-pay. That's when I found it. An old joint account I had set up with my mom back in college. I hadn't touched it in over 6 years, but never officially closed it. It had overdraft protection, still tied to my main account. That's how the transactions went through. Over the past few months, she had quietly been siphoning off funds, small enough not to raise alarms. Not just for the party. She was buying groceries, covering spa days, running Target errands, even making a partial car payment for my brother. Altogether, more than $14,000. When I saw the total, something in me shut down. No anger, no tears, just a cold clarity. I called the fraud department again, submitted everything, screenshots, transaction records, dates. I filed a police report, not because I thought she'd get arrested, but because I wanted it all on file. That evening, someone knocked on my door. This time, it wasn't my brother. It was my dad. He'd driven all the way from out of state without telling anyone. He asked if we could talk. We sat in the kitchen. He didn't defend her, didn't ask me to undo anything. He just said, "I get it. And I'm sorry." Then he told me something I never knew. Years ago, when they were still married, my mom drained one of his investment accounts, without telling him, so she could help her sister. He found out too late. Not long after, they separated. Suddenly, everything clicked into place. All the past emergencies. All the times my success was treated like a family asset. It had never been about generosity. It was entitlement. Before he left, he told me to do whatever I needed to protect myself, even if that meant cutting ties. That night, I changed every password I had, closed every old account, and started looking for a lawyer. Because I knew this wasn't over. By the end of the week, the tone in the group chat had shifted. The guilt tripping was gone. Now it was pure damage control. My mom called 5 times in one day. I didn't pick up. Then came the voicemail. Her voice cracked midway through. Not from sorrow. From frustration. Because this time, the bank of me was officially closed. She didn't apologize. Instead, she said, this whole thing was a misunderstanding, that I had made it worse by going public, dragging the family's name through the mud by involving the bank and the police. Apparently, the fallout was real now. The venue was threatening legal action for non-payment. The DJ posted a rant on Facebook about getting stiffed. The caterer filed a small claim suit and named the family directly. Even my brother's in-laws were embarrassed. They'd already sent out thank you cards to their church, believing my side had paid. Now they were mortified. My brother tried to smooth things over. He left a voicemail saying he never meant for me to find out that way, that it was always meant to be a family contribution, and that I should have come to him privately. I listened to that message 3 times. He still wasn't owning it. Still acting like I was the one who ruined something good. But then came the final straw. I got an email from HR. Someone had attempted to access my payroll portal from a location back in my hometown. I didn't need to guess who it was. I forwarded the fraud report, explained the situation, and had my account locked down. HR issued my bonus check manually, just like I'd asked. At that point, I wasn't just done. I was disgusted. I called the lawyer I'd spoken with earlier and retained him officially. We filed a cease and desist against my mother and brother, barring them from any financial activity involving my name. We also filed a civil claim for unauthorized use of funds, not because I needed the money, but because I needed a boundary they couldn't ignore. When they were served, the group chat fell silent. No guilt memes. No passive-aggressive prayer requests. Just silence. 2 days later, one of my cousins messaged me privately. He said he heard what happened, and that he thought I did the right thing. That he'd always suspected Mom was abusing the family accounts, but nobody wanted to speak up. He ended his message with something that stuck. Sometimes the first one to say no has to be the bad guy. I didn't reply. Not because I was angry, because I was tired. Tired of being the responsible one. The quiet one. The one they thought they could bleed dry in silence. But I was done. 2 weeks after the baby shower, the dust hadn't settled, but the picture was clear. The civil claim forced Mom to lawyer up. She tried to delay, claiming it was just a family misunderstanding. The court didn't care. The bank finished their investigation. They sided with me. Most of the fraudulent charges were reversed. A few vendors pursued her directly. My brother stopped calling. My mom didn't. She tried everything. Guilt, fake apologies, even vague claims about her health. I didn't answer. My lawyer said all contact had to go through him now. And slowly, I started to feel like I could breathe again. I closed every last shared account, reworked every document, enabled 2-factor authentication on everything, switched banks, burned old bridges. It was exhausting, but it was also cleansing. One night, my dad texted me a photo of a quiet beach. No words, just the picture and 5 simple ones. You're always welcome here. I booked a flight the next day. Didn't tell anyone else. Just packed a bag, boarded the plane, and inhaled real air again. While I was gone, my cousin sent me a screenshot. A Facebook post from my mom. Vague, dramatic, something about being betrayed by her own blood, and how some people value money over family. No comments, no likes, just dead silence underneath. I smiled. When I got back, I did the last thing on my list. I opened the family group chat, the one I hadn't touched in weeks, and typed a short message. I'm not your ATM. I'm not your safety net. I'm not your scapegoat. I'm done. Do not contact me again. Then I left the group. Blocked every number that ever dragged me down. No dramatic exit. No revenge plot. Just silence. And finally, peace. If you made it this far, thanks for reading. If this story hit close to home, you're not alone, and you're not crazy for saying no. Sometimes, peace costs more than money, but it's worth every cent. Like, comment, or share if you've ever had to be the bad guy, just to protect your own boundaries. And if you're dealing with something similar, I see you.